Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Billy Napier, the Florida Gators, landed another massive commitment coming out of the transfer portal, and former Washington safety Asa Turner. And there are a couple things that really had me jacked up about this commitment. One, for the Washington fans that have listened, you guys know how I feel about Asa Turner and what he did for the Washington Huskies over the last couple of years. And before we even get to what Asa Turner brings to the football field for the Florida Gators, I want to highlight for Florida Gator fans, what you're getting as a locker room guy for this Florida team. One, this was a Florida secondary room that we've kind of talked about all offseason, needed some experience injected into it. They do that with a guy like Triquez Bridges, DJ Douglas. Asa Turner, a guy going into his sixth year of college football, certainly brings some experience to that locker room. But I think more importantly, Turner's a guy that just plays the game the right way. And after talking a lot of Washington football the last couple of years, this was one of their primary leaders on that defense. A guy that is not afraid to be physical. He's not afraid to stick his nose and kind of do the dirty work. And you look at this Florida Gators team, and we talked about it a little bit this morning when we broke down this Florida Gators defensive line, the second level defenders and their tackling last year for the Florida Gators. I would probably use the word soft at times. And the one word you cannot describe Asa Turner is soft, right? 6'3", 200 pounds, massive head of hair, but a guy that just plays the game the right way, is extremely physical. Not only are you getting an experienced safety, and we'll talk about what he brings to the field, but more importantly, what fires me up the most is what you're getting in a locker room presence for a young Florida defensive back room. Want to get into Asa Turner, talk a little bit about what Billy Napier has done in the transfer portal. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys and a shout out to the Florida Gator fans. A program that we've talked and broken down pretty much every single commitment that they've landed. It's been a blast for me. I can't thank you guys enough for all the support you guys have shown the boys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Turner, Asa Turner, a guy that, again, is one of, just as a college football fan, one of my favorite players in college football. And you get a look at what he does on the field, a guy that in 2023 was playing with a broken hand, two different injuries to both his separate hands, and played in that national championship game. Not a guy that's not afraid to kind of just lay it on the line for his teammates. That type of mentality, that type of culture you want injected into this Florida Gators roster. I think Asa Turner certainly brings that. And you get to him on the football field, a guy that's played over 1,700 snaps during his collegiate career. A guy that, if he stays healthy, is a very, very good player for the Florida Gators heading into 2024. Over 140 tackles, 6 interceptions. A guy that Asa Turner, he's played a lot of football. He's seen a lot of different things. He has the only way to really develop instincts on the football field is through playing. And Turner's played a lot of football. And so he has those instincts. He's able to read quarterback size. He's a ball hawk when that football's in the air, 6'3", 200 pounds. He has a big frame. He's not afraid to go up and make a play on the football. I think he provides a safety that has the capability of making game-changing plays. And this is a guy that has good athleticism, right? A top 200 recruit coming out of high school. I like two things, really. One is the experience, right? 1,700 snaps coming into a Florida secondary room that you look at the safety spot, guys like Bryce Thornton and Jordan Castile. You like the young talent that you have, but you really wanted to inject some experience into that room. And you did it with a guy like Asa Turner. You did it with a guy like DJ Douglas and Triquez Bridges, and a guy that can do a lot of different things. And that's a conversation we have a ton with Austin Armstrong. You look at kind of the root of what Austin Armstrong wants to do. He wants to be extremely versatile and multiple with his looks. He wants to give the opposing quarterback and opposing offense a lot of different looks. And a guy like Asa Turner, who has played a ton of snaps as a free safety, has played a ton of snaps as a box defender, has played a ton of snaps as a slot cornerback. A guy that can do a lot of different things. You talk about mixing up your personnel, mixing up different looks that you're giving to opposing offenses. A guy like Asa Turner certainly brings that to the table. And again, a guy that is not afraid to kind of stick his nose in the run game. He kind of has the size of a linebacker, right? 6'3", 200 pounds, maybe a little light, but certainly doesn't play light. And that's one of the things that I love the most. And you go to what Florida has done in the transfer portal, and I think it's really exciting. You have some young guys coming in, right? Jameer Grimsley, a guy that is essentially going to be a true freshman. But specifically in that secondary room, I think Billy Napier looked at this roster and said, we really do need to address the youth in this room. And we talked about it multiple times, but Florida signing a small class in 2023 or 2024, excuse me, had kind of allowed them to get aggressive in the transfer portal. And you getting aggressive in the transfer portal allows you to get some veterans coming into this team, and DJ Douglas, a guy like Asa Turner. You scroll down to a guy like Triquez Bridges. I mean, those are all guys that have played a ton of football at the college level, have been around the block a time or two, and can help, one, develop a guy like Jordan Castile and Bryce Thornton, but more importantly, kind of stimulate that competition. I mean, Jordan Castile, guys like Bryce Thornton, you have to be great to start in this Florida secondary room, because you have guys like Triquez Bridges and DJ Douglas and a guy like Asa Turner who've played a lot of football. So if you're Florida, I mean, if Jordan Castile and Bryce Thornton are starting week 1 of the 2024 season, that's a good sign, because that means they beat out some really good players to be in the starting lineup for the Florida Gators. And I think that's what excites me the most, that you guys can tell I'm a little bit jacked up. Asa Turner, a guy that I really like, and I think a perfect fit, not only from a personnel perspective in terms of a veteran guy coming into a youthful room, but more from a culture perspective. And I think that was probably the number one thing Will Harris and Billy Napier. That's another good point, though, is Will Harris knows what Asa Turner can do when healthy. Right? When we see Asa Turner fully healthy, he's a very good player. He's got to stay healthy. But Will Harris, I mean, during his time at Washington, has a lot of experience with a guy like Asa Turner, so he knows exactly what Asa Turner can bring to the table. And so I think that Will Harris chose Asa Turner not only because he knows he's a damn good football player, but he knows what he's going to bring to this secondary room. I think that's what fires me up the most. And I mean, we've talked about this Florida transfer portal too. We've talked a lot about it. And so we don't need to necessarily go through all these guys, but this is a massive get. You guys can tell I'm fired up about it. Massive, massive one for Billy Napier and the Florida Gators. Wanted to hop on, give you guys some of my talk or my takes on a guy like Asa Turner. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys again. If you all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Cannot thank you guys enough for all the support you guys have shown, and we'll talk to y'all later.